This offseason was one of the craziest we've ever seen in college football. We saw players entering the transfer portal like never before. We also saw a number of head coaches leaving their schools for brand new programs. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 biggest coaching hires from the offseason. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. We'll start at the top with USC, as they made arguably the biggest splash of the college football coaching carousel. After firing Clay Helton early in the season, USC was in desperate need for a head coach. Well, they got a pretty good one as they went and signed Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley. Over the last 5 seasons with the Sooners, Riley led Oklahoma to a 55-10 record, one of the best winning percentages among all FBS teams during that stretch. No coach is going to be under more pressure in 2022 than Lincoln Riley will be at USC. After Ed Orgeron and LSU parted ways, they were also in the search for a brand new coach. They were able to get Brian Kelly to be their new head coach, which came as a major surprise, considering that prior to the move, he said he had no intentions of ever leaving the Irish. Well, when you're offered a 10-year deal worth north of $100 million, I can see why his mind would be changed. He was the coach at Notre Dame for 12 seasons, where he went 92-32. He reached the college football playoff twice in 2018 and 2020. Things have been really rough for LSU since they won the national championship a couple years ago, but bringing in one of the winningest active coaches in all of college football certainly is a move that can help them this year. Earlier, we talked about Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma for USC. Well, they needed to find a new coach. They brought in a guy with no previous head coaching experience, but a coach that might be one of the best hires of the entire offseason in Brent Venables. The former Clemson defensive coordinator returns to Oklahoma, where he was on the Sooner staff under Bob Stoops as co-defensive coordinator from 1999 to 2003. And defensive coordinator from 2004 through 2011. Venables left Oklahoma for Clemson in 2012, where he spent the last decade as their defensive coordinator. Venables won the Broyles Award in 2016 as the nation's top assistant coach. During his time at Clemson, he turned them into one of the best defenses in all of college football. He's probably one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the entire country, and now he gets his first chance at being a head coach for the place it all started. Earlier, we talked about Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame, so let's go back to the Irish. For the first time on this list, the program didn't bring in a new name. They promoted defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman to be their next head coach. Freeman started his coaching career at Ohio State, where he was a graduate assistant. He then went on to Kent State and was their linebackers coach from 2011 through 2012. Then he went to Purdue, where he held the same title. In 2016, he was named their defensive coordinator. A year later, he rejoined former Ohio State defensive coordinator Luke Fickell at Cincinnati, where he became the Bearcats' defensive coordinator. Freeman had a lot of success at Cincinnati and was named Notre Dame's defensive coordinator in 2021. After spending a year as the defensive coordinator for the Irish, he was promoted to be their next head coach. We have another first-year head coach, this one being Dan Lanning at Oregon. After Mario Cristobal departed, the Ducks were in search for their next guy. The 35-year-old has spent the last 3 seasons as Georgia's defensive coordinator. He started in 2011 as a defensive graduate assistant for Pittsburgh. He then went to Arizona State, where he was named their on-campus recruiting director. In 2014, he was named the defensive back/co-recruiting coordinator at Sam Houston State. Then, in 2015, he got his big break as he was named the outside linebackers coach at Alabama, along with the defensive graduate assistant. He left for Memphis, where he spent 2 seasons as their inside linebackers coach and recruiting coordinator. In 2018, he was hired by Georgia to be their outside linebackers coach. Then, after just 1 season, he was promoted to be Georgia's defensive coordinator, where he held that title for the last 3 seasons. Ever since he took over as the defensive coordinator for the Bulldogs, he's transformed that defense into one of the best we've ever seen at the college football level. Speaking of the Oregon Ducks, their former head coach Mario Cristobal left to become the next head coach at Miami. If you guys remember, that whole situation was a really awkward one. The Hurricanes were attached to Mario Cristobal and were in discussions with him to be their next head coach, while Manny Diaz was still currently their head coach. Ultimately, Miami decided to bring Cristobal back home, and they parted ways with Manny Diaz. Cristobal is a Miami native and won 2 national championships with the Hurricanes as a player in 1989 and 1991, and he was also an assistant coach at Miami. Cristobal spent 6 seasons as the head coach at Florida International, where he went 27-47. He then went to Oregon, where he worked his way up through the system and ultimately became a head coach. During his time with the Ducks, he won 35-13 and won 2 Pac-12 titles and made a bowl game in each of his 5 seasons. We'll stay close as Florida hired Billy Napier to be their brand new head coach. He'll be replacing Dan Mullen, who had a disastrous finish to his tenure with the Gators. Napier comes over from Louisiana, where he led the Ragin' Cajuns to one of the best records in all of college football over the last 4 seasons. Since he took over as their coach, he went 40-12. He won 4 consecutive division titles and made 4 straight bowl games. Prior to his stint in Louisiana, Napier was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Arizona State. Prior to that is really where he made a name for himself, as he spent 5 years with Alabama as their wide receivers coach. After the failed Jimmy Lake era in Washington, the Huskies hired former Fresno State head coach Kalen DeBoer. He spent 2 seasons as the head coach, guiding the Bulldogs to a 12-6 record, including a 9-3 season in 2021. While with the Bulldogs, he transformed their offense into one of the best in all of college football. Before being named the head coach at Fresno State, he was on the staff in Indiana as their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Prior to that, he was actually at Fresno State as their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. In his 2 seasons in that role, the Bulldogs won 22 games. DeBoer is probably most well known for his coaching job at the University of Sioux Falls, a program at the NAIA level. He won 3 championships in his 5 seasons there, while posting a record of 67-3. His coaching career has been all over the place, but wherever he's gone, he's won a lot of games. The Gary Patterson era came to an end at TCU, as Sonny Dykes will be the new man in charge of the Horned Frogs. Dykes arrived at TCU after spending the last 4 seasons as the head coach of SMU. During his time there, he won 30 games and won 25 games over the past 3 seasons. In 2019, SMU won 10 games, their most in a season in over 30 years. While at SMU, Dykes set a number of SMU records and is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the program. This is actually going to be returned to TCU for Sonny Dykes. He was an offensive analyst for TCU back in 2017. During that season, TCU won 11 games and finished the season ranked in the top 10. With Dykes leaving SMU, they were in the market for a new head coach. They hired Rhett Lashley, who was the offensive coordinator at Miami. Lashley held that title for 2 seasons with the Hurricanes, but prior to that, he was the offensive coordinator at SMU for 2 seasons as well. Prior to joining the Mustang staff, he served as offensive coordinator for 7 seasons, spending 2017 at UConn, 2013 through 2016 at Auburn, 2012 at Arkansas State, and 2011 at Samford. Lashley is the only coach ever nominated for the Broyles Award 4 different times from 4 different programs. He helped turn around the Hurricanes offense as he brought them from the number 98 to the number 32 offense in the country during his first year. During his last tenure at SMU, he helped the Mustangs finish with a 10-win season, guiding the number 7 ranked offense in the entire country. So which of these coaches do you think is going to make the biggest impact at their new school? Was there a coach that I didn't include in this top 10 list that should have been on here? Let me know in the comment section down below. At some point later this week, I'm going to be posting another video going over 10 underrated coaching hires from this offseason. So if there's a name that you think should be on that list, again, let me know in the comments down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that really confusing YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.